Welcome to today's deep dive, everyone. It is June 15th, 2026, and we are exactly 1 week away from a massive Group J clash.
Yeah, June 22nd at AT&T Stadium in Dallas. Defending champions Argentina versus a completely resurgent Austria. It's huge.
It really is. Before we get into all the tactical blueprints and the AI data, I want to quickly ask you to hit that subscribe button. We hope for 1 million subscribers. And to those already subscribed, honestly, you are the foundation of our success and continuity.
We really couldn't do this without you. And you'll definitely want to get involved today because the stakes are high.
Exactly. Drop your exact score prediction for Argentina versus Austria in the comments below. If you get it right, you could win the grand prize, which is half of the channel's profit.
Just a massive payout for predicting a football match.
Right. But I want to be crystal clear here. We are not a betting platform. You do not press anything to enter. The prize money comes entirely from the channel's profits, not from the contestants' money. It's just our way of giving back.
So definitely get those predictions in. But to make an informed guess, you need the full picture. We are pulling from a huge stack of courses today.
Yeah, we've got tactical previews, historical World Cup databases, expert reporting from global outlets, and some crazy AI simulation data that actually ran 10,000 scenarios of this exact match.
The mission for this deep dive is basically to extract all those tactical nuances and matchups so you can truly understand what will decide this game.
Okay, let's unpack this. Before we even talk about Messi, we have to look at the structural battleground, the tactical chess match.
Because that's what this is. It's a clash of completely opposing philosophies. 4-4-2 versus a highly aggressive 4-3-3.
Right, so looking at Argentina under Lionel Scaloni, they call it La Scaloneta. They are so adaptable. They usually build up in a 4-3-3, but they shift seamlessly.
Yeah, the moment they take the lead, they just collapse into this incredibly solid 4-4-2 low block.
Which is just so hard to break down. They basically dare you to thread a needle through 8 guys sitting right on the edge of the penalty area.
Exactly. It's a blend of defensive solidity and very patient, methodical build-up play, which is, the exact opposite of Austria.
Right. Austria, under Ralf Rangnick, they play this 4-3-3, or sometimes a 4-2-3-1 hybrid, and it's all about gegenpressing.
It's entirely defined by what Rangnick calls the 8-second rule.
Wait, I love this part of the sources. The 8-second rule. Can you break that down?
Sure. So it basically dictates that the exact second Austria loses the ball, they have to win it back within 8 seconds.
Wow. Just 8 seconds.
Yeah, they don't just jog back. 3 or 4 guys sprint at the ball carrier to cage them in, usually trapping them against the sideline.
And then there's a second part to the rule, right? Once they win it.
Right. Once they win it back in that trap, they have to shoot within 10 seconds. It's purely suffocating.
So, is this essentially a matador facing a charging bull? Like, can Argentina's patient passing matador sidestep Austria's high-intensity bull press? Or do they just get gored in their own half?
That is the defining narrative of the match, honestly. Austria conceded only 0.6 goals per game in qualifying just by suffocating teams like that.
That's wild. But Argentina's midfield is built for this, aren't they?
Totally. Guys like Enzo Fernández and Rodrigo de Paul, they are elite at playing out of tight spaces. If Austria's trap is even a half-second too slow, Argentina pings a one-touch pass right through it.
Which instantly exposes Austria because they committed so many bodies forward.
Exactly. And that brings us to the specific human beings who have to actually execute this on the pitch.
Right, the engine room, which really highlights the key duel. Marcel Sabitzer versus Lionel Messi.
Sabitzer has such a massive job here. He's Austria's creative engine, but his defensive role in this game is going to be brutal.
He has to drop back to neutralize that whole Argentine trio, right?
Oh.
De Paul, McAllister, Fernandez.
Yeah, he has to clog all those passing lanes, but then the second Austria wins the ball, he has to instantly pivot and be the guy who plays that killer offensive pass within 10 seconds.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Sabitzer can track those guys all day. But the ultimate target for Argentina is Lionel Messi,
who is now 38 years old, entering his record 6th World Cup.
Right. And, people joke about him walking around the pitch, but the sources point out it's not just about his footwork anymore. It's his sheer presence.
It really is.
Yeah.
The tracking data shows he's constantly mapping the pitch. He deliberately hovers in Sabitzer's blind spots.
Like a gravitational pull.
Exactly. Just by standing there, he draws 2 or 3 Austrian defenders out of alignment. He forces their entire pressing structure to warp just to account for him.
And it mentally elevates the younger guys around him, too. They know the greatest safety net in the world is out there finding space for them.
But if Sabitzer successfully disrupts that, If he actually cuts the supply line to Messi, does Argentina have a plan B? Or does their whole engine just stall out?
That is the big question. And the sources suggest that exact scenario is why Argentina's supporting cast, especially the youth, is so incredibly vital this time around.
They really are the wild cards.
Speaking of wildcards, I want to take a quick second to remind you all, our listeners, about our channel goals. Hit that subscribe button right now. We hope for 1 million subscribers, and honestly, you are the foundation of our success in continuity.
And don't forget the contest in the comments.
Yes, drop your exact score prediction below for a chance to win half the channel's profits. Again, strictly clarifying, this is a reward coming from the channel's revenue. We are not a betting platform, and this is absolutely not from the contestants' money.
Okay, so let's look at that youth you mentioned, the young Argentine talent stepping into the spotlight.
Right, because you have Thiago Almada, who is this explosive, super skillful player. He basically has the impossible task of filling Angel Di Maria's shoes.
Which is massive, but Almeida brings this direct, dribbling threat. If you can't pass through the Gegenpress, you have to dribble through it.
Yeah, and then you compare him to someone like Nico Paz. He's 21, plays for Como in Italy, and he's totally different.
Paz is a pure playmaker. He actually chose to play for Argentina over Spain, which is huge.
What does he do to the team's tempo, though?
He completely changes their internal rhythm.
Hmm.
When you have veterans like Messi and Otamendi, the pace can get very methodical. But Paz comes in, receives the ball under crazy pressure, and immediately plays a one-touch pass.
So these sudden bursts of speed that contrast with the slow veteran buildup.
Exactly. And those unpredictable tempo changes are an absolute nightmare for a team trying to coordinate an 8-second pressing trap.
Now, we have to talk about the logistics of this tournament, because it plays right into that tempo issue.
Oh, the travel is brutal.
It really is. The 2026 World Cup has massive travel across the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. Plus, you have varying summer climates. This game is in Dallas.
Even with stadium cooling, the ambient fatigue of summer training, flights, and time zones, it adds up.
So let's paint a picture based on the sources.
Mm.
The hypothetical scenario. It's the 70th minute in the Dallas Heat.
Right. By the 70th minute, the tactical whiteboard goes out the window. It becomes purely physical.
Because the veteran legs on both sides are heavy. Messi, Otamendi, and even Austria's Marko Arnautovic, who is 37.
Exactly. Austria's trap requires all 10 outfield players to be perfectly synchronized. If one guy is tired and is a half-second late to close the net, it completely falls apart.
So you're saying the match will likely be decided right there by smart substitutions.
Absolutely. Imagine an exhausted Austrian defense that has been sprinting for 70 minutes, and suddenly Scaloni subs in Thiago Almeida.
Just fresh, explosive speed running right at them.
Right. That youthful speed against a fatigued, stretched, gegenpressing defense could easily be the ultimate deciding factor.
Okay, so we've analyzed the tactics, the players, the fatigue. But what do the hard numbers actually say? Let's talk about the AI predictions.
This is where the data gets really fascinating.
Yeah, the sources include data from an AI supercomputer that ran 10,000 simulations of this exact matchup. It looked at historical World Cup databases, current form, tactical profiles, everything.
And the numbers are pretty decisive. The AI gives Argentina a 56% win probability.
Wow, over half. And Austria.
Austria only has an 18% chance to win, with a 26% chance of a draw forcing extra time.
Did it predict an exact scoreline?
It did. The most frequent outcome in those 10,000 scenarios was a 2-1 victory for Argentina.
Okay, so a close game. What about the underlying stats?
The AI calculated an expected goals, or XG, of 2.5 for Argentina, compared to just 1.2 for Austria.
What's fascinating here is why the AI leans so heavily that way. I mean, Austria's press is so aggressive.
It comes down to defensive solidity versus offensive depth. The AI recognizes Argentina's elite attacking bench, but crucially, it factors in that Austria is missing Christoph Baumgartner.
Right, he's a massive piece for them.
He is. He's their primary attacking threat in the midfield. Without him, the AI predicts Austria will win the ball in good areas with their press, but they just won't have the clinical finishing to convert those turnovers into goals against a low block.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
But, you know, these games aren't played in a vacuum. The sources mention a lot of outside noise surrounding this match.
The psychological factors are huge.
Yeah, like the Spanish papers are talking a lot about the number one curse. No team ranked number one entering the World Cup has ever won it.
It's just a stat, but it adds to the mental weight for Argentina.
And there's also a geopolitical note from the global sports outlets. They mention the relationship between the U.S. and Argentina being in the spotlight. specifically the political alignment between Donald Trump and Argentina's president, Javier Milei.
Which brings a lot of non-sporting media attention to the game.
Exactly. And I want to make it strictly clear to you listening right now. Our show takes absolutely no sides on this. We remain entirely impartial. We are merely conveying the cultural backdrop that is being heavily reported in the sports media.
Right, we just analyze the football. But that global spotlight means millions of extra viewers are going to be tuning in.
Which is a perfect time to share a quick practical tip we found in the reporting. If you are traveling abroad and you're worried about geo-restrictions blocking your live stream of the match, utilize a VPN.
Yeah, they specifically recommend Proton VPN to bypass those blocks so you don't miss a second of this clash.
Awesome tip. So, if we connect this to the bigger picture, how would you synthesize this entire matchup?
If we connect all these threads, this match is basically a massive collision of eras. You have Argentina's historical pedigree and their fluid, possession-based game.
The matadors.
Right, going straight up against Austria's modern, high-octane physical pressing machine.
It's going to be an incredible watch. And I want to leave you, our listener, with a final thought to mull over before kickoff. We've talked deeply about the data, the 8-second rule, and the tactics.
All the quantifiable stuff.
Right. But consider the unquantifiable psychological weight. Austria is playing with house money here. It's their first appearance in 28 years. They can play with a fearless, aggressive freedom because just being there is a success.
Less to lose.
Exactly. Meanwhile, Argentina is carrying the crushing expectation of defending a world title. They are playing against their own legacy. So when the legs get heavy in that 80th minute of the Dallas Heat, will the crushing pressure crack the champions? Or will the sheer passion and expectation be the ultimate fuel that pushes them through?
That is the magic of the World Cup right there. You can't simulate that in an AI.
You really can't. Well, that wraps up our analysis for today. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. One last time, please hit that subscribe button to follow all our new content. We hope for 1 million subscribers.
Every single one helps us keep going.
You are the foundation of our success and continuity. We truly appreciate it.
And remember to drop your score prediction in the comments.
Yes. Get your exact score prediction in for a chance to win half the channel's profits. Just a final crucial disclaimer. This is a community reward entirely from the channel's revenue. We are not a betting platform, and this uses none of the contestants' money. Enjoy the tactical chess match next week, and we'll see you on the next one.